The Pokemon craze is at an all-time high, and whether you're a first-time collector or a seasoned veteran, today I'm going to run through the 5 ways that you can organise your binders. Let's get into it. The first way that we're going to look at is actually organising all the cards by one particular type of Pokemon. So I've done this for quite a few of my favourites. As you can see here, I've got Nidokings. There's no set order that you actually have to put these in your collection in, but I tend to sort of just go with my favourites if I'm honest, but you can do things like by release date, by set, whether it's your favourite, by rarity type. So you can see that I've started off with the Vending series promo. Absolutely love this Giovanni's Nidoking. Then the Nidoking from 151, the art rare version, the holo version, the Evolutions reverse holo, and then the Japanese holo counterpart. Recent EX from Destined Rivals. Trainer card, not necessarily a Nidoking card, but it features him, so I thought it's got to be included. An older Nidoking and some of these more mid-era Nidokings, which again are artworks that I previously wouldn't have seen as I wasn't collecting at the time. So it just gives me the opportunity to enjoy these artworks that I'd have missed from sets that I didn't collect, and also just get to diversify the way that I collect in the sense of these are cheaper cards to pick up. I'm not always going after huge grail cards, not always chasing, like the big special illustration rares or secret art rares, just going after things that help pad out this binder. And again, it's something that I've done for multiple Pokemon. So on the go at the moment, I also have Giratinas, Machamps, Gengars, Snorlax, Pikachu, quite a lot of Pikachu, Mimikyu, Steelix, incredible Pokemon, and Dragonite. Doing collections of particular Pokemon is hands down my favourite way of organising my binders. This way I get to appreciate all of the Pokemon cards of some of my favourites from sets that I may not have actually experienced. I get to see new sets, new artworks, sets that I would have previously overlooked or never had a reason to look into. For me, it's a great way of showcasing and organising a binder, and having all of your favourite Pokemon in one place just looks incredible. The next way that we're going to look at is actually by doing the artist collection. Now, it's no secret on this channel, I absolutely love Shinji Kanda's artwork. I think it's some of the most stunning, eye-catching, and also different and unique artworks that we've seen in the Pokemon TCG for a long time now. Similar to Kamiya, it's very sort of out there, acidy, quite sort of trippy, very gothic as well. And when he illustrates some of my favourite Pokemon, it is just a win-win situation. And for instance, going through this, Sork, not a Pokemon I particularly care for, but I get to collect an amazing artwork by an incredible illustrator. Again, Pokemon that I would have overlooked originally. Magmar, incredible Pokemon anyway, a lot of Gen 1 love, but this is such a different take on it in the sense of it's got the snowy setting, such a beautiful card. Bronzong, again, not particularly fussed on, same with Whiscash. But then you get into the Giratina, which, I can see why this was the big chase from Lost Origin. It is absolutely unbelievable. Ariados as well, a Pokemon that I'm not, again, massive on, but such an incredible artwork. And then you get into things like the Galarian Moltres, such an iconic artwork. The Magikarp as well, everyone went mad for it and it still continues to boom. Such a good card. This Absol that even looks reminiscent of the old Prime cards. And getting to have all of these cards in one place just gets to sort of really solidify the artist collection. Really diversifies the way that you can collect cards. So you're picking up commons, uncommons, reverses, holos, illustration rares, special illustration rares, alternate arts, the full sort of mix. And again, I was picking up some of these cards for pennies to add to this collection. So at a time where getting product is quite difficult, or you find it challenging and you don't want to just continuously pay over the odds for things, this is a really nice way to grow your collection. Find an artist that you really sort of resonate with and how they do their cards, their illustrations. And also just get to experience some of the sets and Pokemon that you would have overlooked and missed in the past. For me, that's what Pokemon collecting is all about at the moment, especially rejoining the hobby after such a long time. But it just allows me to have a collection that is sort of unique to me and special to me, because I've chosen an illustrator that I like. And again, when there are artworks like this available that you'd have overlooked previously, it's such a win. The Artist Master Set is probably my second favourite way of collecting. This allows you to, again, look through various sets that you may not have looked at, and also Pokemon that you may not even care for, and see some incredible artworks. I have recently completed a Shinji Kanda Artist Master Set, and that allowed me to see some incredible artworks from Pokemon that I wouldn't even really care about, like a Girafarig, which, again, for me, it opens up new avenues. It's a cheap way of collecting cards, as you get to pick up commons and commons, holos, full arts, the full range. And also, it gets to shed a spotlight on some of the incredible illustrators that we are so lucky to have in Pokemon. So for me, an Artist Master Set is probably one of my favourite ways to organise my binder. Before we get any further, if you could do me a really quick favour and just smash that like button, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. It'd really help me out, especially as I'm trying to grow this small account. Thank you. Now moving into one of my favourite but also most painful ways of collecting is the Master Set. So I picked up this Charizard binder. It's an Ultra Pro one, and I just thought, if I'm Master Setting 151, this is the binder to do it in. And with Master Setting, the beauty is that you get to collect and enjoy the entirety of the set as it was intended. So I like to always have a nice sort of feature page, which is like the ETB sleeves and the pack artwork. As this was a special set, you only have the one artwork, which again is, I just really like having this kind of layout consistently. But you get to enjoy the full range of the cards within the set. So here you've got all of like the starter Pokemon, EXs, reverse holos, regular holos, and it just creates such a beautiful binder to flick through. And again, since completing 151, this is something I will routinely sit and go through, as I feel like this really did a bit of like healing for my inner child, in the sense of, I always liked collecting Pokemon as a kid, but I didn't have like huge amounts of it, and like me and my brother used to share them, and I didn't really know much about it, admittedly. I was just like, oh, that's a cool looking Pokemon, or that's a shiny bit of cardboard. I really like that. And then you end up, you know, trading like a Charizard at school for an Onix, which, no shade to Onix, I love him, but it's not a base set Charizard. And just having all of these in one place with the different artists, like you've got Kamiya over here, and then you've got Yukiko Baba down here, all bringing different things to the table, different artworks, different styles. And again, with this being 151 and such a nostalgic set for me as a Gen 1 Pokemon kid, there's no other word for it other than beautiful. It's such a nice way of doing it. And just having all of these cards laid out, being able to see exactly how the Pokemon Company intended it to appear by following like the order of the binder, getting my favourite artist Shinji Kanda in here, the legendary birds, one of my favourite Pokemon in Dragonite, Mewtwo as well. And then even getting into like the bigger cards, so like all the illustration rares. Again, Nidoking, one of my favourites. This Caterpie, adorable. Same with the Dragonair, one of the most beautiful cards from the Scarlet and Violet era that I feel like we're not talking about enough. And then all of the full arts, and of course getting into the special illustration rares. Because you're collecting and mastering the full set, you get to experience and enjoy the entirety of it, and have the range of common, uncommon, reverse holo, holo, EX, full art EX, illustration rare, special illustration rare, hyper rare gold cards, even the holo energies. You get to enjoy the full thing, and like the promos associated with it as well. It's just such a nice way of collecting, but unfortunately it's also one of the most expensive ways, because if you were to say pick up any of these cards individually, like the Charizard was going for a couple of £100 up to like £300 or £400 at like its absolute peak. And then because this set is now supposedly out of print or isn't as readily available, you're seeing like booster packs are £10, £15, £20 in some instances, which is just fucking crazy. But because of that, I did a lot of this by purchasing someone's base set, which is just your commons, uncommons, reverses, and EXs. Thankfully, I managed to get hold of booster bundles when they were restocking, and I was very lucky to have got a Blooming Waters box out in the wild. Thankfully, didn't give in to scalpers. You are ruining Pokemon. I got to enjoy it at retail, open it, got this beautiful Alakazam EX out of it. So I was very fortunate, and I pulled the Charizard myself. Then, as you'd have seen on my London card show vlog, I went there specifically and purchased the Venusaur EX, the Wigglytuff EX, and also the Charmander illustration rare around some of my favourite people. And it also means that this has a doubly special sort of memory to me in how I put this together, because it's like, oh yeah, I got this with my friends, I picked this up, my wife surprised me with this, and I managed to add it to my binder. It was just such an experience. And again, when you get to flick through it, it's not just admiring the artworks, it's all the memories that go with it, all the incredible pulls that you had if you were like lucky to have recorded any of them, the memories of going to like card shows, being with like certain people, getting it off your friends, doing trades, really rekindling that sort of spirit of what Pokemon collecting is all about. As I say, one of the best ways you can organise a binder and enjoy it, but also one of the most time consuming, expensive, and ultimately painful, because you hit a point of diminishing returns where you're buying boosters, you're getting the same reverse hollows that you don't need, you're chasing that one big card, and by the time you pull it, it would have been far cheaper to just buy it. So yeah, this isn't for everyone, but it is a wonderful way of doing it. Now, master setting is an incredible way to organise your binder and collect Pokemon cards. However, it can be very expensive and at times painful. So just keep this into consideration, especially if you're new or recently rejoining the hobby. There can be that sort of temptation to try and get everything all at once. But with the state of scalpers at the moment, how short it is on getting products, this is maybe something you want to revisit in the future when product is a bit more readily available. But for now, just collect the things that you enjoy, organise them how you want, and have a bloody lovely time. And now we're going to look at organising your binders by type. So here you can see we're organising it by V cards from the Sword and Shield era. As the eras change and we get new releases, new rarity tiers, different types of cards, this is something that will be forever expanding or even revisited to, as we've seen with the latest mega sets, a throwback to that era of Pokemon. So there's always going to be that opportunity to add to it. But you can see that we've got all the Vs here, V stars here, trainer cards, EXs and GXs, a lot more EXs. I've just had to remove some of these for some of my Pokemon master sets themselves. Trainer gallery cards, some of the most affordable Pokemon cards at the moment, and they are simply stunning, especially like this Spiritomb, the Lunatone, Absol. This Mew is incredible and it's doing massive numbers at the moment, understandably so. And then you've got things like your illustration rares, which again, this just makes for such a beautiful binder. And you could even take this one step further and have, say, like a blue page where you've got like this Tynamo, the Vanillish, and the Alolan Doug trio to work around, following like the big colour schemes that are on show, or like this Meditite and the Paldean Wooper and the Spidops and the Pawmi, because they're all in outdoor settings and have that kind of splash of green throughout them. So it really gives you the opportunity to get creative with it. And then if you're fortunate enough to have pulled some like big cards, you can have the special illustration rares collected together. So here, obviously, I've got the promos from Shrouded Fable and their special illustration collection boxes. Then I've also got the Paldean Fates Gardevoir special illustration rare and the Bubble Mew EX from Paldean Fates, which is by far one of my favourite cards in my collection, and also arguably probably one of my favourite cards from the S&V era in general. And again, having all of these cards together in the one place just really, like, it's so eye-catching. I genuinely do just flick through my binders quite often and just like enjoy what cards I've collected. I will reorder them, move them about. I probably change my mind on how I want to display it so frequently. But again, it's a way of, if I'm not able to get new product, I can just order singles, add them to the binder, change the collection around. And it just makes for such a beautiful and enjoyable binder to flick through. Because when you're going through this and you're just seeing all these incredible artworks, then you get to see something a bit different with the trainer gallery cards, getting into some illustrations, some promos with the Reuniclus and the Gothitelle, and then also into some of the older types like the full art EXs, GXs, trainer cards, and some of my all-time favourite cards in Pokemon tag teams. I am dying to see these return again. Pokemon, please give me what I want. But again, having all of these in one place, such a fantastic way of displaying your cards and organising your binders. Organising your binder by card type as well is a fantastic way of doing it, because you get to have a lot more consistency, and again, it lends to that aesthetic. So for me, I like having all my SIRs together, my special illustration rares, EXs, plus it gives me the opportunity to flex my Bubble Mew, which is one of my prized possessions. And the final way that we have it is to actually organise your cards by language. So here I have got a specifically Japanese binder, because picking up Japanese cards so much cheaper and you get to enjoy the same artworks. I'm a huge advocate of buying the artwork, not the wording. Because I don't play the TCG, I'd be up for it in the future, but I don't at the moment. For me, I just like to collect some of my favourite Pokemon and have them all in a binder that, again, is beautiful to flick through. As you'd have seen from my Wolverhampton card show vlog, picked up the Groudon AR, which was the only card I actually wanted to go and pick up that day. Didn't stay that way. I cannot be trusted at a card show. But again, an Iron Hands EX SIR from Terrestrial Festival or Prismatic Evolutions. In Japanese, this costs £4. In English, it's hovering around that £30 mark. This Ghastly, I think I paid £6 for. It's like 40 quid. There are so many amazing cards in here that I got at like an absolute fraction of the price. And again, when you are new and you're trying to play catch up, or you're returning to the hobby and you see all these amazing cards, picking them up in Japanese is just such a cheap alternative. And again, it doesn't look any different. The texturing on Japanese cards is actually like better than it is on English. Like if I get this Great Tusk EX out, so you can sort of see how the light catches it, you can see that it is absolutely crazy how much they put into these cards. And again, this cost me like £10. But again, you just get to have it all. And even like the latest sets and new releases. So like Haxorus was like £3. Executor from Mega was like £3 or £4. The Spiritomb as well was like £3 or £4. I managed to pick up this entire line for about £15 from Night Wanderer, or in English, Shrouded Fable. Again, the Dragapult EX from Terrestrial Festival. Look at how beautiful that card is. But as well, this cost me, I think, about £9 in Japanese. And at the time that I bought this card was over £100 in English. The only reason for it is just because in Japanese you're guaranteed certain pull rates. So these cards are a lot easier to obtain. And also practice safe binder behaviour, use a penny sleeve, and also opt for a side loading binder instead of a ring binder, because that can damage your cards long term. If that's a video you'd like me to go into, how to correctly store your cards safely without damaging, let me know and I can do it in the future. But as well, picking up in different languages, just a brilliant way of collecting. And it doesn't even have to be just reserved to the typing. So here I've got like a nice vintage selection. I'm waiting on getting the Classic Collection Charizard, which is why there's that gap there. But again, this is just a nice way of having cards from different eras in the same language in a particular section of my binder. And I just get to enjoy it. And again, like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Gym Challenge, Classic Collections, Team Rocket, Neo. It's just a great way to enjoy the artworks, again, at a fraction of the cost. And Simplified Chinese, because they get all of the exclusives at the moment. But Japanese will always be like my sort of preference, just because the card quality is incredible. The prices as well are fantastic. And you can't look at this and tell me that it's not a beautiful binder. So for me, collecting and storing my cards by language and type is such a great way to go. Organising by language is also a really nice way to differentiate your collection. And also opting for Japanese or Korean cards, especially at a time like this where the craze is at an all-time high, means that you get more access to artworks. You can group them separately from your English collection, so you have one very sort of aesthetic binder full of incredible cards that you may not be able to afford or even have access to in English, but then in Japanese or Korean you get to enjoy them, have them all in a binder and separate from your other collections. For me, I love collecting in Japanese. I've been able to get many more cards than I would have before just by differentiating the language And also, I am a massive fan of the Japanese back on Pokemon cards. And there we have it. Let me know in the comments section which way you're going to start organising your binders going forward. If anything I've suggested helps, please let me know. But for now, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Pokestrongman out.